Welcome back to The Point. Now straight to our debate after the head of the tobacco panel of Parliament, Dilip Gandhi, another BJP MP, and in this case a BD Baron, Shyamacharan Gupta, claimed that there is no link between tobacco and cancer. Well, that's not the only reason the opposition is gunning for him. A serious conflict of interest by Gupta stares the BJP in the face. Adding to the controversy,
Gupta plays three roles in one. He's a BJP MP, a BD Baron, and in a sharp conflict of interest, he's also a member of the parliamentary panel that regulates tobacco use. The BD Baron turned MP's defense, coming after the tobacco panel delayed Centre's plan to enforce bigger health warnings on cigarette packs. The conflict of interest stoking a controversy, evoking demands of Gupta's immediate ouster.
तमाम ऐसे खाद्य पदार्थ हैं जो नुकसानदायक हैं, उन्हें बैन करो। आप पूरे हिंदुस्तान में सबसे ज़्यादा शुगर के मरीज हैं, आप क्या चीनी रोक दोगे?
It's nothing surprise because when Prime Minister himself says in Japan that business runs in his blood, naturally the members also have the right to do that because this is a party of businessmen and they have to take care of their own interests.
NDA ally PMK adding to the row, former Health Minister Ambumani Ramdas claiming victimization by the tobacco lobby himself, urging Prime Minister Modi to give a nod for increasing the size of warnings on tobacco products.
Four chief ministers opposed me, some of my cabinet colleagues opposed me, the entire tobacco lobby took on me. But then I was strong enough, we had brought in the legislation at the time, and it stood now. We need to move on to the next phase when globally all the countries are doing this. I mean, we don't need an advice of an ignorant member of parliament who absolutely doesn't know what he's talking about.
But the BJP choosing to look the other way. Demand for Gupta's ouster from the anti-tobacco panel is loud and clear. Is the government choosing to ignore an apparent conflict of interest? Why has Gupta not been ousted from the tobacco panel yet? Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
And joining us live now is spokesperson for the Congress Party, Jaiveer Shergill. In a moment from now, we'll be joined by GVL Narasimha Rao, national spokesperson of the BJP. Also, Seema Gupta, director of the Voluntary Health Association of India, will be with us in just a moment. Jaiveer, you know, there was supposed to be a lot of noise about this story. I mean, it looks like all that the Congress has really done, is call this situation unfortunate. BK Hariprasad's come out and said that these comments are unfortunate, but we're not seeing, the kind of heat that something like this, the kind of shameful conflict of interest that we're seeing in this story actually deserves, Jaiveer.
Shiv, actually the chorus in which the BJP MPs are delinking the cause of cancer from tobacco is worrisome. And the conflict of the interest is in fact raises very eyebrows and connects a lot of dots that Mr. Harshvardhan actually paid the price for his activism as far as loose cigarettes were concerned, and there were reports that he actually had to exit because of the pressure of the lobby. Secondly, even if you look at Mr. Gadkari, he has recently diluted the penalty in the new road bill, and the land acquisition has been further diluted. So if you connect all these dots, the question is there something more that meets the eye? Is it pure pictorial warning issue related to the farmers' employment as it is being pretended to, or there is something more? Now, second, what befuddles me, Shiv, is the logic and the rationale. Why are we adamant to give a color of Indianness to a well-proven scientific fact? It's like saying polio is from polio virus all over the world, but we don't have an Indian survey.
Jaiveer, that was not my question, but... This is known. This is known. This is stuff that the media has been covering over the last 48 hours. My question to you is, your party has, rightly, justifiably hit the streets over issues like Giriraj Singh, today over the black money issue. I'm talking, for something that kills millions of people around the world, thousands of people here in India every day. The kind of conflict of interest has made people's jaws drop. Nobody even knew that this guy, this shameless member of parliament from the BJP, is sitting on a tobacco panel inside parliament while being chairman of one of India's largest BD companies. Why isn't the Congress on the streets about this? The perception out there is that there is so much conflict of interest, nobody cares.
Shiv, I rest assure everybody through your channel on behalf of the Congress party, we are not going to take this issue very lightly like the farmers' issue. We have been saying from day one, BJP is playing for the lobby, you're right. Even as this came as a surprise to everybody that this guy is actually conflicted, and we are not going to let this issue die down, whether it is an actual inquiry to be ordered. What is the real reason? Because till date, Shiv, let me remind you, apart from Mr. Nadda, who's completely mum on the issue, he is not given a justification on paper that why did he actually abide by the decision of the standing committee. Under the business rules, a decision of the standing committee is not binding. It is not binding at all.
Let me just read out for our viewers, because it's actually a farce. Because the health minister of the country has just said that the health ministry is proactive and sensitive on the tobacco issue. Your point is
no,
Shiv, I know that. I know that.
No, Shiv, let's take wind out of the sails.
I'm making fun of that. No, I don't agree with that statement at all. I'm just saying it's bizarre. It's actually more absurd that you've got the health minister coming out and saying this right now.
Let me take out the wind of the sails further, Shiv. The absurdity is, let's say their survey argument is to be remotely believed. Are you telling me the survey cannot go on parallelly and you can't put the picture, 85% picture?
No, absolutely. No, those are good questions.
How are the two things connected?
Seema and GVL Narasimha Rao are both with us now. Mr. Rao, you know, so many things have been actually said and not very much has actually been said by the BJP. I mean, that's the most polite way I can put it, at least so far. But you know, since this is a complicated sort of issue and something that everybody has, you know, gotten very emotive about, I just want to ask you a couple of questions. Please don't think they are loaded questions. I'm genuinely asking you for clarity's sake. Does the BJP believe that there is a conflict of interest in Shyamcharan Gupta being on that panel, sir?
What's your second question? Let me answer both together.
Okay, and my second question is it the BJP's official stand that tobacco does not cause cancer, or that there is no Indian study to prove that tobacco causes cancer? Because you now have not one, not two, but three MPs who have said that.
Shiv, please don't interrupt me.
Yeah.
I would like to put the party's view across. And this is a committee that has not been formed by the Ministry of Health or by the Government of India. This is a committee, a standing committee on subordinate legislation constituted by the Speaker. And the report has not yet been submitted, but the report that is in circulation in the media talks about all the members of the panel, including two Congress representatives, unanimously agreeing on what has been spoken about by some MPs of the BJP, which the government completely disagrees with. The BJP does not agree with the opinions of these BJP members on the panel. But this is not binding. The report is not binding on the government. And the sheer hypocrisy of the Congress party speaking in one voice outside or in the media. And then, no, why is it? Okay, now coming back to your first question.
Assume this is something that Indian citizens are talking about, sir.
No, I certainly see this as a conflict of interest. And I think this is a practice which has been going on for many years in Parliament. And this is something that the presiding officers of both the houses must really look at and ensure such conflict of interest does not happen. This is certainly a conflict of interest. And
Mr.
there are many such occasions, including, I can name them.
Mr. Rao, yes. I'm going to get to that. I want to get to that in a moment.
Categorical.
I want to get to that in a moment. I know exactly where you're going. I want to get to that in a moment in greater detail, which is why I'm just saying I have a small rebuttal question for you. You're saying that, you know, the conflict of interest you recognize. You're saying that this panel was set up by, you know, within Parliament. The government and the Ministry of Health actually had nothing to do with it. The fact remains, sir, that you've got these three MPs who've come out and said this. But Shyamcharan Gupta is a special case. He is a businessman. He's not just a public figure. He's also a businessman. The decisions taken at that panel directly affect how much money goes into his pockets potentially, sir. So what I'm trying to say is the BJP not worried about the reputational damage that these men are causing?
I've got your question. No, you see, because of that reason only, I said there is clearly a case of conflict of interest.
Yes.
But then this is not a standing committee on tobacco. This is not a standing committee on health. This is a standing committee on subordinate legislation.
Is the BJP
of which he is a member. So in this particular report, in my opinion, I think that he should have excused himself. He should have recused himself. and the presiding officers must formulate guidelines so that such things don't happen in future.
Rao,
they have happened rampantly in the past.
Mr.
They
Rao,
have happened in the past rampantly.
I know that.
Party will also formulate guidelines, internal guidelines, to see that members do not really indulge in such conflict of interest in future. So certainly we see also a responsibility. But we also think it's a larger malice and which afflicts all political parties, and certainly a care needs to be, caution needs to be exercised by the members of parliament, by political parties.
Mr. Rao, you know, your point is well taken. Jaivir, coming to you for a moment, a quick comment, and you know, I'll get a comment in from Seema as well before I come back to you, Jaivir. But Mr. Rao, you know, is it the case here that the BJP is so cynical about this issue that you're willing to actually sort of, you know, go into the nitty-gritty of whether it's a standing committee, whether it's a subordinate legislation, whether the, you know, recommendations are binding or not? What about the reputational, you know, perceptions of this, sir? The fact remains that nobody from the BJP senior leadership has, you know, come on record to say anything about this. It's very smart spokespersons such as yours. No, it's the simple fact is that the conflict of interest is very serious in this case, sir. You can talk about how you can formulate guidelines about whether people like this should be on such panels, but what I'm trying to say is your BJP MP, Mr. Rao, allow me to complete, not only had the temerity not to recuse himself from such a panel despite the clear conflict of interest, he had the audacity to go on record on public television in front of the entire country to actually say something like tobacco and cancer have no correlation. That is what has shocked the people of India. Does the BJP recognize that?
Certainly, and what I am saying is based on discussions within the party at the highest level. This was even mentioned and discussed even at this morning. And the party
is the leadership irritated
at the highest level?
Is the leadership irritated and angry with these men?
Absolutely, absolutely, and this has been communicated. And even Mr. Nadda, even Mr. JP Nadda, who is the health minister, I think had categorically stated. Let me give you another important piece of information. The government, the Ministry of Health, went to the committee, and the Ministry of Health under Mr. Nadda as the minister, had pleaded before the committee, had informed the committee that it is clearly in favor of implementing this.
But that still doesn't say anything about the...
There is no change.
Okay.
There is no change.
I take your point, sir.
I take your point.
No, one second.
One question.
No, one political point.
Yes.
We mooted this proposal. It was not Congress which did this. We mooted this proposal. And we are committed to implementing it.
Okay, Mr. Rao, you've made your point.
Congress should not really cry. Should not cry over it.
Okay, actually,
they had 10 years to do it. They didn't do it.
My point is, Mr. Rao, before your audio was actually patched, my point was actually the Congress has not been ferocious enough on this issue. They've actually been quite calm on this particular issue. Jaivir, you want to respond to that?
No, the important issue is, why did they not protest? Why did their members agree to this?
We're talking about a specific issue. No, there's a larger issue of the tobacco lobby itself and its infiltration of politics is an old issue. Our issue today is conflict of interest and why action has not been taken and the politics of it. Jaivir, quick response. I want to get Seema in also.
Is the Congress part of this lobby?
Please presume. Please,
is the Congress part
Mr. Rao,
of this lobby?
Let me complete, please.
Jaivir, one quick comment.
Why did your members not...
Please presume Congress is the culprit. Please presume he had the conflict of presume. Please presume Mr. Nadda is the cleanest man. Answer me one thing, Mr. Rao. Knowing everything, why the deadline of 1st April is not adhered to? October, the deadline was set 1st April. Congress is bad. Your own MP has a conflict of interest. Mr. Nadda, being the minister, could have said, I know everything is bad, but here, I will prove everybody wrong and will put the picture of 85% on 1st April as promised by Mr. Harshvardhan, the ex-health minister. Why not 1st April was not adhered to is my question.
That is a categorical way of saying, Mr. Rao. Mr. Rao, I'm going to actually go to Seema, but I just want to say that that's a pretty categorical way of saying that, you know, the deadline hasn't been met. Therefore, you know, the infiltration of the political lobby, the conflict of interest is so deeply entrenched that decisions like this can be influenced from within as well. Seema, you know, since yesterday, you know, since this entire issue has become such a big political fight, has it not disturbed you and people like you, ma'am, that it's become this big sort of political slugfest over who's taken decisions, who hasn't taken decisions, and the cynicism of people like Shyam Charan Gupta who have the shameless audacity to come out and say things like this?
Actually, you know, as public health activists, we are absolutely appalled that, you know, honorable MPs who are so ill-informed form the part of a committee on subordinate legislation. They pick out an issue like pack warning, which is so crucial to this country, where there are 80% people who are illiterate and they need to be informed about the harms of tobacco use. And I feel it's not about parties. Across parties, we have seen the first time when pack warning was to come in 2006.
Correct.
There were several delays. At least 6 times the pack warnings had been delayed and diluted by the Congress government. And let me bring you back that when the act, which is COTPA, Cigarettes and Other Tobacco Product Act, an honorable health minister from BJP, Ms. Sushma Swaraj, brought this. Honorable health minister decided to have 85% pack warnings. I feel there is some disagreement within the party and they need to sort out. But it's really not about Congress and BJP.
Correct.
It's across parties that whenever there is a public health issue, especially for tobacco, the tobacco lobby pressurizes political parties and they succumb to the pressure and they do not bring these very important public health policies to. As public health activists, I can tell you there are so many studies. Mr. Dilip Gandhi said that I do not know of any Indian study which links tobacco to cancer. Well, I can quote a lot of studies which link tobacco to cancer.
Yes.
Just a second. My voice is gone. Jara nikal do bhaiya piche se.
Okay, we're almost out of time, but we've got your point, Seema Gupta. One final comment from GVL Narasimha Rao before we wrap up this show, because this is a developing story. You can expect much more to happen in the days ahead. There's a national executive happening in Bengaluru. Jaiveer here on Headlines Today has said that they're going to up the ante, not just now, but also in the days running up to the Parliament session. GVL Narasimha Rao, you know, people watching this story, you know, recognize that the facts of the case are very simple. My simple question to you is, you know, you've said that the leadership is angry, the message has been communicated, but, you know, it hasn't even been a year since the BJP government came to power, Mr. Rao. For God's sake, you know, with so much, with this big image of being conscientious, you know, taking hard action against those who do wrong, aren't you afraid that people like Shyam Charan Gupta are delivering huge reputational damage to the BJP?
Shiv, I think that's the reason we have completely dissociated, the party has dissociated from these comments. But you cannot, you see, there are people from every stream in politics. You cannot prevent people from industry, people from media, and people from any profession to participate in politics. I don't see that as a solution. But there has to be, certainly, there is a code of conduct, there is an ethical conduct that is certainly required. And members of parliament and in all standing committees. And we will, you see, the committee has not yet submitted the report to the Speaker of the House. You said that, and which I certainly hope will be done very shortly. And regarding the Congress's demand to do it right away, are they advocating that we should completely ignore Parliament?
I think.
Are we going to ignore Parliament?
It was your deadline.
Are you advocating that?
No, we're completely out of time.
Mr. Rao, this was your own deadline. This was not deadline Congress.
Gentlemen, we're completely out of time. I only want to reiterate what Seema Gupta said as I wrap up the show, because we're completely out of time. She said it's appalling because this isn't really a public this isn't really a political issue. This is not about the BJP and the Congress. This is a public health issue. It goes way beyond politicians, BJP, BJP, Congress, Netas, MPs, etc. This is something that needs to hit hard and hit home. People recognize the simplicity of what's going on here, and they're not going to be satisfied with a lot of cynicism and a lot of prevarication and a lot of obfuscation, which I'm afraid is most of what we've had so far from the BJP, even though GVL Narasimha Rao has said today categorically that there is a conflict of interest and the leadership is irritated and angry with what is going on. Seema Gupta, Jaiveer Shergill, GVL Narasimha Rao, thanks for joining us on the debate on To The Point this evening.